Alright, so the general premise of this, folks, is that at random I pitched to Red, like, hey, it'd be pretty funny to try to explain what the fuck is going on with Super Robots and Super Robot plot lines to Red while watching Super Robot Wars footage. So that's what we're gonna do.
Okay, what just happened? I don't...
He just threw a sword. The sword turned into another sword, and he threw it at that robot. The robot looks like a whale.
Okay. I thought it was more like
the robot was created by an ancient race. Not this robot, that enemy robot. It was created by an ancient race of proto-humans. They keep coming to Earth to try to take over the Earth because they want to basically mentally enslave us and steal all of our shit.
Okay, ancient aliens, got it.
Well, yeah, basically, and it's like basically the founder of both humanity and of that alien race is like this progenitor race that like they're just pretty. There's like 2 of them left, and that last one basically turned himself into a god because of psychic powers.
As they do.
Yeah. And anyways, the whole point of this guy is just that he's a cool guy. Just basically his whole thing is that repeatedly he gets stuck in super robots that don't have anything that they can do except use a fucking huge-ass sword. And it works out pretty good for him.
Alright, so is this like an original one or is this from a show?
This is an original one.
Okay.
So this guy has appeared in like a couple of different settings.
I like his big samurai robot that he has right now.
Yes, so the whole thing of the samurai robot is that it was created by... Okay. So...
Alright.
The aliens basically dropped a fucking alien thing on Earth to kind of try to kickstart human, like, super tech to steal our shit after we develop stuff. So, they did this. And then, like, basically a bunch of governments like, maybe we should do something about this because this seems like a setup. And then, like, a bunch of other government stuff like, we shouldn't do anything. You know, the aliens are going to be nice guys. And this other government agency's like, no, that's fucked up. They ain't going to do anything nice at all. We're going to start a civil war to jumpstart our technology and also convince the aliens that we're not unified enough to fight them. And then trick them when we actually kick their ass. And then that happened. And this guy was originally with the normal government. Then he defected to those guys, the Divine Crusaders.
Did he just turn his sword into a spear into a bigger sword?
Yes, that's the thing.
Okay.
It uses, like, morphic metal. I forget the term that they actually use for it. It's a thing it can do. That's
right. I was just making sure that's what I saw.
That's alien tech, basically, that they stole.
Okay.
So they basically came up with this plan where they're going to cause a civil war to jumpstart their technology and also train dudes and also convince the aliens that they aren't ready. But then the aliens invade, and then they have to team up, and then they fight the aliens. These are the progenitor aliens I was previously talking about.
Right.
And basically, this guy defected to the bad guys, but only because he was in on the plan to kind of get everybody ready. And then now he's back with the other guys because he was in on it the whole time. And the guy who was running that, who ended up getting killed by the good guys, made this robot for him. And it's called the Dynamic General Guardian.
Oh, so the Daigen Guard of theirs.
Yes.
Okay.
So he decided to call it Daigen Guard because it sounds shorter. But the way he says it is that he calls it Zengar, and his name is Zengar. So it's the big Zengar.
Got it.
And basically his whole thing is that, like, when he originally got this robot, it didn't have any of the stuff on it. So basically it's like his evil clone. By the way, he had an evil robot clone from an alternate dimension at this time.
All right.
Showed up, and he's like, hey, here's your sword. Use your sword to do shit. And he's like, okay. Oh, this is his best friend. His best friend is like the brother of one of the main characters, and he's wearing sunglasses to be an incognito, but everybody knows that it's him because it's a really shitty disguise.
Because sunglasses, they're shitty disguise.
Yes, and it uses like a pseudonym that's just German for like Phantom Gourmet. And it's like, oh, you're just that guy from before. We know who you are.
Did his robot just turn into a horse?
Yes, so he could ride it with his robot.
Okay, just making sure I'm verifying what I'm seeing.
So that guy is interesting in that sense that anytime he shows up, his BGM overwrites everything. Because a bug in the original game he showed up caused that to happen. So now they just have it as a joke that they have to do it every single time.
Okay.
Because this theme just overwrites every other theme, like including like final bosses. It gets in a fight out with a final boss, it just immediately goes to his theme instead.
I like it.
Yeah, that's the entire thing, is that he hits shit hard with the sword. Also,
yes, that's what you do with the sword.
You can't tell that his sword is called a Zankanto. It's like, there's a term in Japanese for a horse-cutting sword, but it's, it's a ship-cutting sword, you see. So it's big, and you can cut spaceships with it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's basically their shtick, is that... He just says, like, lots of, like, Japanese, like, short sayings that samurai do about robots.
That guy has wheels in his feet.
Like you just said, there's nothing my sword cannot cut.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
Good to know.
So this is not an original. This is from when they did the Mazinger Z remake. I got the audio, the video wasn't coming. There it is. This is the anime that I actually did fan subbing for.
Yes.
Good old Shin Mazinger Z. So, the whole... Are you at all familiar with the plot of Mazinger Z?
I am vaguely aware of things I've absorbed from you.
Okay, so the whole thing with... Okay, yeah, he's gonna big bag punch somebody. The whole thing with the plot of Mazinger Z is that his grandpa made this robot called Mazinger Z and basically ends up getting killed and gives it with him and basically says, hey, use this robot to do whatever. You can be either a god or a devil. I don't give a shit. You're my grandson. Do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
And his grandfather got killed by this guy called Dr. Hell.
Right, okay. Yes, I remember.
Dr. Hell basically is revived mechanical beasts from the ancient Mycenaeans. Because the ancient Mycenaeans are in fact from space.
Yes, of course.
And basically the Mycenaean Empire, he's just basically stealing all their shit because they all died off. And he's basically stealing their shit and just using it to do evil, horrible things. And so Shin Mazinger Z is directed by, I believe it's Imaishi. Okay. Basically, his main thing as a director is that he basically makes these overly complicated plot lines and have like things be revealed later on. And it's always kind of interesting. He's the guy who did the G Gundam stuff.
Right.
So he does a lot of weird shit too.
Yeah,
of course. He does a lot of stuff like dialogue, has like samurai like movie references from the 1940s, like Yakuza references. It's like, who the fuck is gonna get this reference in your robot anime? Like, I don't know, the guy translating it, I guess. And basically the whole idea with Shin Mazinger Z is that they reveal that Mazinger Z is in fact made from Zeus's hand.
Oh.
Like, Zeus got his hand cut off by, I forget who they're called. The bad guys from Great Mazinger, basically.
Okay.
So and also the robot's powered by
Zeus also from space?
Yes. Zeus was basically an ancient space alien, and he was massive, like a giant robot. And he basically betrayed him. Like, actually, I'm gonna protect like these humans. They're kind of cool. We shouldn't have to take over them. And it's like, nah, fuck that. We're fucking going hard.
Okay.
So, and then basically it's like, no, we're not doing that.
He's fucking the hell out of that guy.
Yeah, it was the Great General of Darkness cut off Zeus's hand and got sealed. Basically, the whole thing about Shin Mazinger Z is that the seal is somehow tied to Baron Ashura, because Baron Ashura is actually the combined parts of two priests from the Great General of Darkness, Hades, who used to lead the Mycenaean Empire after Zeus betrayed them to protect humanity. And here's him invoking.
He just turned into a giant fist there, right?
Yes, that's because Mazinger Z.
Because he's a fist, yeah.
It's because Mazinger Z is made out of Zeus's fist, yes.
Yes.
And that's why they're basically channeling Zeus energy here, because Zeus has golden armor and shit. It's pretty
good. That was cool looking.
It's pretty good in the anime too.
I bet. I think we watched that recently.
Yes. And also the whole thing is that there's this long, complicated plot involving his father, who supposedly got killed, but then was acting like he was evil, but then it wasn't actually him. It was like an evil clone, and you know how this goes. Oh, and this is how they basically wrapped up that anime. Is that basically like, oh, how are we going to beat Dr. Hell? He's got this massive fucking robot. And it's like, what if we use more rocket punches? So they basically had a bunch of like generic mass-produced robots, and they basically just started using all their fists to make an even bigger fist that he rode into the giant robot. And then he big bag punched the fucker.
Ah, so he won 2 punches. Got it.
Yeah. But this was bad, because it actually made it so that the Great General of Darkness could actually escape his seal and resurrect, And then that's how that anime ended, and they didn't get the funding to do a sequel, so we can kind of guess how it would go, but that didn't happen.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the first original robot that Band Presto actually made for their games.
Okay.
It's called Sidebuster.
That's a good name.
So the whole thing is that underneath the Earth, there's this parallel second Earth called, I forget, Langreas.
Okay, okay.
Langreas, something like
I'm
that.
processing this.
It's basically, it's this parallel Earth, and basically this parallel Earth is kind of like ours, except that there's robots there that are powered by, like, elemental gods, basically bestow their energies to these robots.
Okay, I'm gonna cut you off. Why is there the cat?
He's got two familiars. They're cats. The cats pilot these tiny little sub-robots to help him out. They are super tired of his shit at all times.
Okay, okay. Go on, go on.
So,
Continue.
parallel Earth, robots powered by elemental energies. The Sidebuster is basically one of the strongest elemental robots of the wind goddess, essentially.
Okay.
And its whole thing is it's the fastest robot in the franchise. It's the whole gimmick that they kind of go for. And also it can do elemental magic shit because, hey, it's powered by elementals. So, even though they have a bunch of these parallel games like set in this separate elemental realm beneath Earth, but he's, as you can tell, he's just, despite the green hair, he's actually from Earth. He just kind of ended up there and ended up piloting this. And then, like, his mentor gets killed by another guy also from Earth who gets, like, a robot powered by essentially Robot Satan.
Okay, Robot Satan, got it.
Robot Satan, by the way, is composed of the souls of former frost giants that died, and they basically want to initiate the Ragnarok so that they can reincarnate and make their own frost giant realm again.
Okay, okay. Jotunheim, got it.
Yes. But they get stopped. We'll talk about their servant guy later because he's in this video list later. But the whole thing with basically with Sidebuster is that it's super fast, and its pilot Masaki, he's shit at directions. So his whole thing is basically he's constantly showing up at the bad times because he gets horribly lost. Like, he spends, between games, he has to spend the entire time just lost, not able to find where to go. So his super speed is kind of useless because he has no fucking clue where he's going.
And he just turned into a bird.
Yes, because it can transform, because it's super fast.
Yes.
In order to go super fast, sometimes you have to turn into a bird.
That's a cool looking firebird.
I want to point out that he just said Akashic Buster, because as I mentioned to you, there's a lot of shit in these games that tie into the Akashic Records. Because I think the writer for this game series really likes the concept of the Akashic Records.
Okay.
It's kind of a good, generic kind of fantasy, not really religion-tied thing that they can invoke.
Yeah, and that's just like the sum of humanity's knowledge, right?
Right, exactly. Like a parallel dimension, like kind of general record collection of everything. And it's basically the whole thing with these robots is that they can kind of channel their elemental goddess to kind of invoke them. So when Sidebuster goes hard, it basically gets full-on possessed by like the wind goddess. That's kind of just how it rolls. And then basically this entire realm has like all these different robots that get made. They get blessed by various gods and goddesses and get some amount of elemental power in order for them to do crazy shit, like this, for example.
Okay.
And also, this robot has a machine on it that allows it to see the future. That's completely unrelated.
That's just unrelated, huh?
Yeah, they never uses it though. That just
doesn't tie into the wind powers or anything. It's something that it has.
It's something in there that is never used. Maybe they'll use it someday. I don't know. It's just something they invoke occasionally, like, oh. Basically, anytime someone's trying to steal this robot, it's mostly because they want to get that thing. Because they can see the future with it.
Maybe that's just why it's in there, so that nobody else can use it?
No, basically you have to be both, you have to have, in order to use the robot, you have to both have the appropriate number of familiars, as well as have like a tie to that goddess, basically. So and the whole thing is, you kind of have
the appropriate number of familiars 2 cats?
2 familiars, yes.
Okay.
This is again going to come up later, because there's a character who has a familiar that doesn't use it for anything because he made one familiar and decided he fucking hates familiars and gave up at that point.
So a familiar, I know what a familiar is in general terms. Is it just talking animals in this case?
Yes.
They're
basically sentient animals that can do some amount of magical, like, subtasking.
They can pilot a robot there.
Yes, they help out. Right?
Okay. Yeah, as a familiar does.
Yeah, they just do kind of sub-spell magic shit. And this is just doing wind magic shit. One thing you'll notice about these sort of things is that anytime like a robot will get killed by a move, occasionally they do something called like a dynamic finish where there's like extra shit at the end. And that's why anytime you see a robot posing at the end, that's generally what's going on. Okay, or like here where you have just like massive explosion shit. Like here. That's a dynamic finish.
It's pretty dynamic.
Yeah, it's pretty dynamic. Basically, this whole thing is that he's trying to get revenge for his master who gets killed after because he's from Earth and he ends up down there, and then he just basically gets a robot. Things happen. You know what it is. You know how these things go.
Okay, so is this guy related to that one?
No, this is completely unrelated. He's from a parallel dimension where basically they decide in order to the war economy. They basically decide in order to achieve the war economy, they have to move war across multiple dimensions. Also, their world was getting fucked up by aliens, and they didn't know what to do, so they decided to come to ours where it hadn't happened yet.
Oh.
And so basically, they came over here with a bunch of parallel, like, robot, like, clone versions of characters from the main dimension and invade Earth. And this guy ends up basically changing sides because kind of like, actually, this kind of sucks. I don't like what we're doing here. This is kind of horseshit. The war economy.
Got it. I like
this whole thing is that this robot's like fucking massive, and it just punches shit to death.
Well, yeah, it's a good thing to do with a robot.
This is a robot that's original, but it's originally from a different Super Robots War story where they basically had him as an amnesiac who basically turns on his former allies who are doing that same plot line I just discussed. But in this case, he's not amnesiac, but he becomes amnesiac later after he switches side and loses.
Okay.
He also ends up teaming up and getting into a relationship with a clone version of a character that's ostensibly his rival. She's a clone made by like alien like proto things. They're like aliens that monitor Earth that somehow like exist with it. Like they're like guardians of Earth, but they decide they want to remake Earth with like a new Adam and Eve because of human evils. But they're also basically they made a clone of a lady, and then basically she ends up switching sides as well. That happens a lot.
Okay. Okay.
Anytime a character seems super, like, generally interesting, they end up switching sides. That's just kind of how Super Robot. That's how mecha works in general. That's how anime works in general.
Oh wow, cool. He's cartoon fighting him.
Because it's pretty cool when that happens.
I like that he was cartoon fighting him in a big cloud.
Yeah.
This is what happened when Andy Cap's wife comes for him at the bar. This
also,
exact
as
thing.
I said, and as it's been mentioned, this robot has a mustache.
Yes, I love his mustache.
Pretty cool.
Alright, alright. Is that a dynamic finish, or is that just part of
that?
That
was a dynamic. Well, yeah, there you go. See? Yeah.
Got it. Neat.
Okay. This is going to be hard. So, this guy is a villain that appears in multiple Super Robot Wars games, but he's actually the same villain in every multiverse. Because his whole thing is that he's basically Starscream except multi-dimensional.
I was good. So then he's like the Fallen.
He's like, yeah, yes. But he's like also like Starscream in that he's like really bad at it, kind of. That he basically keeps learning stuff from different timelines and keeps trying to apply it, but he keeps losing.
Okay.
So he's appeared in other games. He does a bunch of shit. He has like a bunch of characters that are actually like. I've said this a lot. There's a bunch of characters that are protagonists and antagonists that are clones of him for a variety of reasons because he has a lot of psychic powers. It's unrelated to his whole dimensional skipping, though. We'll see how unrelated it is in future games. One of his clones becomes a time cop, basically.
Okay.
Presumably that clone's hunting his ass down.
I like that his lasers are black, but they glow red.
Yes. So the whole thing is that this one is that he basically was like, manipulating stuff through this entire game, but nobody knew that this was happening. It wasn't like in the open, and basically combined a bunch of different villains, like gimmicks, into his gimmick.
Okay.
So he's got this interdimensional gate, for example, on his head, and now he's just summoning random like these are like robot gods.
Oh, okay, robot gods.
They're robot
So
gods.
are they god robots, or are they robot versions of gods?
They're god robots, essentially.
Okay, that's all right.
The whole thing is that they're robot animal gods. They're kind of like Taoist sort of elemental like things.
Yeah, they're god robot gods.
Yeah, so that's the whole thing, is that basically he kind of summoning them. He teamed up with them. This game had like the plot lines in this game were evil, interdimensional, Lovecraftian evil. You have Hell Satan from the elemental realm. You had this guy secretly manipulating things. You had the robot gods, and also a plot to turn everybody into just like hermits. You know, like Japan's concept of hermits. You know,
okay.
where you have spiritual hermits, but that will also kill off a bunch of humanity in the process. And also there were alien inspectors trying to do shit that they've been manipulating all along. One of the alien empires, not the progenitor aliens, different aliens.
Okay.
But this whole guy's thing is that, again, he's interdimensional sort of dude who's like managed to like reincarnate again in this plane with like, oh, I'm gonna use my knowledge of all the previous bad guy shit and like hero shit from other dimensions. Like here's like robots that haven't even shown up in this timeline. They're basically like, oh yeah, I'm just invoking these various like villain and protagonist robots that have like godly powers, and I'm gonna fucking like just fill you full of impossible knowledge and drive you insane.
Okay.
By just filling them with like all the knowledge of like the Akashic records into their brains. So they're basically kind of, you know, as you have your knowledge of magic, that sort of thing, like demonic revelations driving people insane with just fucking nightmares.
It's like what happens when we learn too much kami magic.
Sure, yeah, kind of. And it's basically him just invoking that right now, and also just bashing them with like an interdimensional game.
Alright.
Because that's one of the things that they basically stole to make this giant robot.
Just beat him with a space bridge.
Also, I want to point out that robot has his face.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that was the case.
Well, his face is the mask, but the mask is also his actual face sometimes. It's confusing.
Okay.
We don't know what his face actually looks like in this particular timeline. Sometimes it's his face, sometimes he has 4 eyes, sometimes he has 2 eyes. I don't know. You know how reincarnation works.
Yeah.
Sometimes he reincarnates as different guys. That's the thing.
Oh.
But he's got the same sort of weird genetic, like, you know, because he was part of, like, the race that was also originally from the progenitor race, the other alien branch of humanity, kind of.
Okay.
He was with those guys. And he was doing, like, the subtle plan, like, actually, I'm better than the guy running us all, you'll see. But then he dies, and just kind of gets punked a few times. That happens a lot.
Got it. Okay.
He's a fucking annoyance, and he's strong. They even make a joke about this in the games, where he's like, oh, he goes through this like massive like diatribe, and it's like, oh, your plot is kind of dumb. You just want to remake the universe in your image. You're just kind of, it's kind of generic. Oh, this guy's basically a Narlethotep.
Okay.
You know, that's kind of it. He's kind of like makes his plot like basically as long as there's a dimensional gate to our realm, he can't be beat because he is literally, you know, Narlethotep essentially.
Okay.
And so that's this guy's deal. And his dimensional gate's dead dimensional gate that the other guy ends up stealing.
I like how creepy he moves, so.
Yeah, he does a lot of weird shit. Yeah, that's his entire shtick, is that he's basically like he made like a plot like, oh, we showed up here with a bunch of like interdimensional demons. We're gonna fucking wreck shit up, you know, and he eats misery. That's what he does.
Is that why he's got the lips on his crotch?
No. That's so he can have a drill show up out of them and hate fuck stuff.
Got it.
I'm pretty sure that's what that's for. Or maybe eat stuff like that, I don't know. Yeah, no, hate fuck.
Well, that comes out of the mouth, apparently.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the whole point. Is like, so that guy I was previously talking about was like, oh, I reincarnated, but I held off like showing up because I thought this guy might mess with my shit. But thanks for beating him, good guys. Now I have his gate, and I can summon him to do shit.
That's what I was looking at.
Oh, that's so he can spit like nightmare shit.
Okay. So I didn't know. I was just curious about it.
Yeah, that's.
I was wondering if it was there for a purpose or not, but apparently it is.
Oh yeah, like I said, he's like kind of an immortal sort of interdimensional horror. The whole thing is that they basically have to shut off the gate in order to beat him, kind of like lock him out of his dimension.
Aha.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes, and it's all. Like, a couple robot pilots, like, father accidentally summoned him here, caused a bunch of horse shit. And then, like, one of those robot pilots is that guy's son. And then, like, the other one is his adopted sister, who has a alternate ego that was, like artificially put into her. And then an artificial ego, like, mental state ends up taking over and feels really bad about it. That happens.
Yeah. Robots are weird, man.
Yeah, this is what the robot's attacking here is one of those elemental robots from below the Earth.
I'm assuming that was one of the water ones.
Exactly, that is.
Because he's got a stick.
It's one. Yeah, it's one of the water ones. Yes.
Ah! Ah! It's all in my places.
So the whole thing with these Super Robot board games, obviously, is that it's very super deformed. But occasionally they'll do shots like this, and like actually the scale is a lot more spread out than we indicated. Like here, that's kind of actually this robot's fucking huge.
Ah! Gross! Ah!
Yeah, this guy's gonna eat your misery. You know, he's an Orlethotet, basically. Seems like a good idea. Seems like a good idea, I guess. They really like doing these insert shots with the horrifying shit happening. Sometimes there's like spoilers from future games in there. It's kind of funny.
Alright.
Sometimes it's like referencing shit from other games. Like, wait.
Oh no, the dog!
Yeah, Her Elemental's a wolf.
Alright.
So you know that guy I was talking about who was basically Star screaming it up?
Yes.
So, this guy is a clone of him that ends up being possessed in part by the soul of another clone of him, and basically the robot that basically in this game, which is a completely different timeline from that game, this is like the previous one,
yes, they do.
the previous incarnation essentially of all that shit. They end up using the aliens, progenitor aliens, end up coming to Earth and basically combining a bunch of Earth tech to make a robot called the Astra Nagant, which is basically a space gun, because they like guns in Japan.
Well, of course they do.
And basically a guy who's like, oh, I'm a clone of the alien guy, I have to work for him, but I'm actually with you guys, sorry, I have to pilot this thing, beat me up. They beat that guy up, he dies, and they go, oh, that's too bad, he got controlled by the alien. So his soul is basically out here like, yo, what up? And his soul ends up manifesting and like possessing this guy for a while. But then
did he just cut a guy in half with a scythe and then turn the scythe into a fucking shotgun and then shoot him like 3 times?
Yes. So So he gets possessed by this other version of him. But then his soul ends up basically taking over. Like, actually, no, I don't want to be taken over by you, old guy. And he's like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'll let my soul be consumed by you instead. But in the exchange, you have to become a fucking time cop.
Okay.
So it's basically, as you'll see a lot, this robot is fucking just nuts. And it's basically a whole bunch of its shit involves erasing people from existence.
I like that he summons gun bats.
Yes, they're basically gun bat familiars. They're not piloted by familiars, they're just called.
Right. They're just options. Like,
that's basically their term for like options or bits or funnels in these games, as they're called in other robot games, are familiars. You're just making a bunch of guns out of his wings, and he's gonna shoot him. This robot was, by the way, designed by the Zone of the Enders guy, so...
Aha, I was
Makes sense, does it not?
Yeah, alright.
It looks like that fucking Sphinx-looking ass robot. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, this him basically, it's like, I'm gonna crush you between a couple beams of space.
Alright.
It's basically this guy's imperative to try to just fucking do like crazy ass shit. Also, I think his robot's powered by the souls of the damned.
You think it's powered by the souls of the damned?
Yes, in fact, I'm 99% sure his robot's powered by the souls of the damned. Oh yes, and here he hears him opening up something called the Infinity Cylinder. It's basically just gonna turn, just like reveal the infinity of time on shit. Also, you just saw a thing pop up to him. That was the guy that previously tried possessing his body. Now they kind of get a merged entity in existence.
Okay.
So that's why his hair just turned blue, because he's manifesting that guy with blue hair.
Oh. Yeah, I just assumed it was some sort of anime power-up.
Well, yeah, both.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's basically him just going to crush a guy out of a fucking existence and just erase them entirely out of, like, everything. Erase somebody out of the timeline. Why the fuck not? Fuck that guy.
Fucked up.
That guy sucks.
Fucked up when you think about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of that shit. There's a lot of that shit these days.
Yeah, I'm aware.
It's kind of like their way that they approach making original characters. Like, one, there's going to be probably a plotline involving clones of some kind, or like alternate egos. And two, their ultimate move may erase you out of like existence.
Yeah.
It's their kind of way of invoking like, okay, this shit's for real. We're gonna erase shit out of existence. What up? Like that's what's happening right here. Also, a lot of these robots are also powered by magic and like souls.
Yeah, that happens.
That happens, you know. Erase that thing laid out of existence.
Yep.
So in the trial run, I previously explained this guy to you, but I want to explain him again.
Yeah, please do.
So, okay. So you know the Elemental Lord from earlier, the guy with the wind powers, you know, Masaki, you know, Sidebuster.
Yes.
So this guy. So okay.
Okay.
His mother, kind of like the other guy, ended up finding her way into Lagran, I think is actually what the place is called.
Yeah, the Hollow Earth.
Yeah, Lagran, I think. Lagran? I can't remember what it's called. So she finds her way down there, it's like, shit, I want to go home. And basically the ultimate evil robot Satan's like, hey, I'll send you home for a price. And it's like, alright, what's the price? It's like, your son's soul. And it's like, oh, actually, yeah, okay. That sounds fine. And then this is her son, basically, who's eternally sworn to the evil robot Satan.
Evil robot Satan, got it.
Who, as I mentioned, is basically the manifestation of a bunch of frost giants possessing and trying to make.
Right.
So his whole stick is like, okay, he kills like that guy's like master and shit. And he does a bunch of like asshole shit, but he comes to Earth basically. He ends up teaming up with those Divine Crusader guys who are trying to start a civil war to prepare for the aliens. And he makes them this robot called the Granzon that uses up 70% of their budget.
Okay.
It can like track like 1 million targets at once and can fucking control black holes, powered by black holes.
How are you powered by a black hole?
It has a black hole engine.
Okay, that's good enough explanation.
So
press further.
The whole thing is that he ends up betraying all of them, basically, because, again, he actually secretly works for Robot Satan in the Elemental world. But the whole thing is that basically he constantly gets getting manipulated by everybody himself, and he kind of ends up helping the good guys a lot, because deep down, he's not actually that much of a fucker. He kind of actually wants to get killed, because he doesn't like this whole being controlled by Robot Satan.
Right.
Eventually, in fact, he does... Okay, this version of Robot... Okay, here's his familiar. That's a bird.
Okay.
He made one familiar because he wanted to try using the Sidebuster's future seeing shit, but then decided he fucking hated it because his fucking familiar's an asshole, just swears a lot.
Okay.
Because his familiar's a dick and he hates it.
Well, it's a bird, so...
Yeah. Here's him just basically shooting lasers through wormholes, by the way. So, okay, basically he ends up getting killed, but then, like, another servant of Robot Satan basically, like, reincarnates his soul, like, yo, we ain't done with you yet. You know, we're gonna continue using you. But he fucked up because the contract was only till death, and now he technically is after death.
Okay.
So basically he managed to get back with the robot that also has the ability to manifest into a better version of itself, thanks to Robot Satan. And then he figured out how to manifest it himself using his own fucking, like, alchemy bullshit, which is this thing. And it basically, he murders Robot Satan, his, like, former demonic master.
Okay.
And then everybody's pretty cool with him at that point. It turns out he's a smug asshole. He's like fucking like he's like a super mega genius and like 22 years old. It's like manipulating everybody, but he's actually a pretty cool guy.
Alright, sure.
Here's him basically creating a cluster of black holes to throw at a robot. And just like fucking just shit's getting teared up as he just fucking creates it. Because basically this robot has absolute control of like space and the gravity.
Okay.
That's why you saw him earlier just kind of tunneling through black holes and like, you know, like wormholes and shit. This robot's actually pretty fucking slow, but it doesn't matter because it can basically move itself around with gravity.
Right, because...
Yeah, you use him just throwing a fucking black hole at something, because that's a good way
It's like magnets, but weaker.
Yes, except when you have absolute control of it, it doesn't matter how.
Well, yes, but if you had absolute control of magnetism, you could do a lot of fucked up shit, too.
Yeah, you know, it's a fucking Magneto. But,
yeah.
But the thing with gravity, gravity's weaker, but you can make a lot more mass.
Yes, of course.
Than, like, electrical force. That's why black holes are so fucking cool. You don't have magnetic black holes. So that was pretty dope. I mean, magnetic forces are at work in, like, white dwarfs that end up becoming black holes, but that's beside the point.
Zorak, I feel like we're getting away from the giant robots here.
Sure. So I was basically just point out this move right here. Basically, he's going to pull a guy into a parallel dimension because the move that he's about to do is so fucking nuts that he can't do it on, like, Earth because he'd fucking just destroy everything.
Okay.
So this is like him basically just powering up with magical horse shit because a bunch of these robots do that. It's like, parallel dimension time up. You're coming in here with me now.
Oh, the thing on his back actually does something.
Yeah. Well, it's just kind of like a, hey, you know, Shinto god type thing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's raining in this dimension.
Yeah, that's it. It's basically just this horse shit's happening. He's basically like, what if I do 3 of these at once to fucking make a fucking, like, Big Bang occur? Why the fuck not?
Huh? Alright, alright.
We'll just fucking just overload on this shit, like mega black hole cluster and shit. Make a fucking, like center of a galaxy black hole, maybe cause, like, the universe to fucking end here. Why the fuck not? Not erasing stuff from the universe, you know?
Yeah. All memory exists will be wiped from reality, will die, no one will mourn. Got it.
I mean, you know, why not? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna drop this thing at ya. I think that gun, basically, that attack basically translates to, like, degeneracy something? Degeneracy? I don't know. In a previous version of this, in the previous game, I think he basically shoots a laser that cuts a hole through, like, half the solar system. Like, it destroys, like, Saturn in it.
Okay.
That doesn't actually happen, but that's how the move is demonstrated.
Well, yeah, it's like the supernova in Final Fantasy VII.
Exactly. It's like
it destroys the solar system.
It's basically shown as it blowing up like Jupiter on accident.
Yeah.
Which is fucking cool, but yeah, I basically hit this guy with a Big Bang.
Got it. All right. All right.
So okay, this robot is actually an anime.
Okay, Gunbuster?
Yes, Gunbuster.
I've heard of Gunbuster, but I don't know anything about Gunbuster.
So the whole shit with Gunbuster is that it actually starts off as a parody of a tennis anime from the 1970s.
Okay, I
like
think
a
I've been told this
sports anime
before.
with girls, basically called Aim for the Ace, and like a bunch of like, oh, One-sama is so good at tennis. I wish I was so good at tennis as One-sama. And the coach is like, oh, you are secretly even better at tennis. I will help you become the best at tennis.
Okay.
But they basically take this concept, and Ganek's like, yo, what if we did that with robots? So they had the whole thing, like, we're training them for robots because we went into deep space and we melt these, like, alien, like, mindless alien sort of, like, they kind of look like viruses. Or, like,
bacteria.
Or more thematically, like, white blood cells.
Okay.
And basically we have these aliens, like, oh, they fucking killed your father, little girl who's, like, you know, father was an admiral. You're gonna fucking become a robot pilot, right? To avenge your father. And basically, a bunch of episodes that are basically coming to terms like, oh, I'm shitty. She's piloting a completely different, like, tiny-ass robot. And eventually they get into this giant fucking robot that's, like, 800 times the size of that other robot. And like, fuck it. We can do this shit. And they fucking go to a combat scene that's fucking nuts.
Okay.
There's, like, shit just exploding everywhere, and it's great.
I'm really digging the music this one here.
It's a fucking awesome scene, basically. They have, like, a scene at the end of, like, episode, like, 5, and basically comprised of them with this music killing approximately 1 million robots. Not robots.
No,
1 million aliens.
Oh no, those poor aliens.
Those aliens suck because basically those aliens have determined that humans are like a disease to like the universe because all we do is pollute. And they basically decide they're going to annihilate humanity because they basically just kind of crush onto humanity. And it's like, they're going to destroy the earth.
Is that a baseball?
It's baseball.
Baseball! Oh, that's a baseball.
That doesn't actually show up in the anime at all, but it was on like the tech notes for the robot. So like, yeah, we'll put it in the game.
All right. I'm for that.
There's a bunch of that sort of shit where they kind of like, actually, let's make shit up. Or let's use shit that they don't actually have in there. There's a big tradition in these games of making like sequel robots for like Mazinger Z and the Getter stuff to kind of like to give them something to do after a certain point. Like we need a new robot for them. Let's make them a new robot. Fuck.
All right.
You know, that's a thing they do.
Not gonna lie, kind of dancing this music.
This anime is really fucking good, actually. So basically, the whole thing is that a lot of the stuff with this anime is that it takes and uses time dilation for a lot of the plot lines.
Right.
So in order to go into deep space to do this, they come home and it's like, oh, everyone I know has grown up at this point. Fuck. Like she comes home and it's like, oh, my best friend from school is now like a fucking 30-year-old teaching school.
Huh.
It's kind of like, you know, that sort of stuff. And basically, at the end of it, they basically go, okay, we did a black hole to try to blow up a bunch of aliens and buy us some time, and it didn't fucking work. So they're like, okay, we're going to turn Jupiter into a giant super mega black hole and destroy the center of the galaxy. Because it's a breeding ground for the aliens, you see.
Oh, okay.
So they decide to do that, and basically the aliens are fucking attacking them like crazy. And this last episode, by the way, when they're doing this, is all black and white because they ran out of budget.
Alright.
They basically go in there, and they basically like, oh shit, their aliens have damaged our giant fucking black hole that we made out of Jupiter.
Oh.
We gotta fucking, we damaged our bomb. We need more stuff in there. Hey, you need to pilot your robot onto the surface of the super compressed version of Jupiter and fucking blow it up. Good luck. And they basically do that, and as it's exploding, basically they're having to go at like not maximum light speed. And basically, by the time they show up back at Earth, it's like 10,000 years later. And it's like, oh shit, what the fuck happened? We don't see anything. And it's like, oh, did Earth get destroyed? I'm like, nah. They just decided to put up a light show to say welcome back after 10,000 years, yo.
Huh.
It's pretty good. There's a bunch of fan service in it because it's made by Gainax, but it's not tremendously bad though. There's a few tits, as you do.
Yes, so, as you do.
Do you want me to continue?
Do you want to get something to drink first? Because you were talking for like an hour. Do you need to rest your throat hole?
I mean, theoretically, but
rest your throat hole for a few, and we can do more.
I mean, it wasn't an hour. It's been like a half hour.
Yes. Man, go find more.